Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Hi, Steve. How are you
Hi,
going?
Chris. I wanted to thank you again. I thanked you before, but I wanted to thank you again for for this honor
Uh,
for being our very first guest.
yeah, thanks back. Nice to being here with your stream, your viewers. So hi to the 16 guys so far. So yeah,
and
happy to be here.
rising.
And it's rising.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure from my monitor that the sound uh, is okay. Just
Mhm.
let us know, guys, if you can hear Christian and I. Uh, just let us know. We're live, so these things happen. Thank God it's not a
Well,
TV show.
well, it's rising fast. Now doubled up already.
Nice.
Test test. Someone there?
Is anyone in the chat? There is like a 10. There should be like a 10-second delay, more or less.
Okay.
Let me just pull out my. Yep, have all good. Nice, nice. Hi.
Awesome.
So we have with us. We have the honor of having with us Christian Dressler or Chris. Should I call you Chris?
Yeah. Let's keep it simple. Chris is totally fine.
Chris. Well, those of you that don't know Chris is the CEO of Poker Scientist, in which we will be talking a little bit later. You're from Germany, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, especially Cologne.
and do you live in Germany right now or in Austria?
Both. Both. There was like 1 year ago a poker regulation in Germany ongoing. So it kind of forced me to move to Austria when I still want to play cash game. So I have now also like a flat in Austria too, and moving around.
And this is something that troubles a lot of poker professionals.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. So, Chris, how was
Mhm.
you're from Dessau?
Well, yeah, Dessau is a small city in the east of Germany. That's just the city where I was born.
You were born in
Uh,
Dessau. I,
yes,
I looked
exactly.
I looked it up. It's in the middle of the of Berlin, Leipzig, and Wolfsburg. Like if this was a triangle, it would have been in the middle, right?
I didn't know that, but that definitely make sense. Yeah, um, these cities are very close to the city, and yeah, I mean my grandma, grandpa, etc. is still in this environment, but we moved very early to the rest of Germany because it was like 1989. Were born, and there was like the wall which splitted Germany into two halves. So my dad decided to move to West because there are better opportunities to make a good life. So I grow up in the west of Germany, close to Cologne.
So, how was your life as a child in Germany? How was it?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, Germany is, I think, a nice country to grow up. But of course, as a child, you have only like a very small environment where you see the world. Like you have your mom, your dad, your friends, and you think, okay, that's the world, how it works.
Or micro world? Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. So I think it was. It was nice as I was a child, and well, as I was a teenage, it getting like very exotic. I don't know. I didn't connect good with other people, so I really chose a way for yeah. Let's define it as taking my own path. So it was a nice opportunity to figure out a lot of myself. Um, and I appreciated afterwards the time as a teenage. It was exotic, let's say it like that. Yeah. So it was nice.
And just like all everyone, did you ever have a dream of what was your dream job, let's say, as a child?
To sell ice cream. That
Really?
was yeah, that was my dream as a child. And then I wanted to repair humans, I
I love
said.
ice cream.
Unfortunately, I didn't took this path. Um, but yeah, this was my dreams as a child: repair humans or selling ice cream.
Oh,
So it changed a bit.
that's I mean, looking right now your life, that's changed a little bit,
For sure. Yeah.
but it's interesting. Like I've heard
Hmm.
a lot of dreams, and this is the first one. But as children, we always have, I have children as well. I have three, and
Oh wow.
you know, I we are fascinated by very simple things
Ah. What
as
were
children.
Yeah, totally. What were your dreams as a
So
child?
I wanted to I wanted to be a professional football player.
Oh. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Did, and did
Uh,
you played it like as you was a teenage or child?
I loved it. I used to dream. I used to think about football all day. I was
Mm.
obsessed. I would sleep and think about football matches. Sometimes I still do. Like
Mm.
when I have trouble sleeping, I will just imagine myself uh, starting a game, and then
Mm-hmm.
the game plays in my head. It's weird. I cannot explain that.
Mm.
Um, uh, but I didn't make it, and
That's fine.
that was my best failure in my life because it taught me a lot.
Hmm.
That was the best thing that
Interesting. Okay.
happened to me, actually.
Okay. Um, interesting. If you, like it triggers a lot of questions in me, but it goes quickly then deep.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but I rather focus on you.
Yeah. It,
So just to go a little bit, continue with a little bit of Chris. Who is Chris? So how would your family and friends describe you, Chris?
uh,
Is this if it's uncomfortable, we can move on. Don't worry.
yeah, it's. I don't think it's uncomfortable, but like tough questions, I would say, because it's like it feels like the question what I think other persons, what
Yeah,
kind of image they have from myself, and like this could like be different what the image I have from my own. So
yeah, it's
um,
true. It's true. True.
um yeah, well, I
I mean,
think
you're a poker player. You don't have to be honest. You can bluff.
I think I'm yeah, well, this is also interesting. I think like what I'm doing in poker, I would never do in like a social
in
world.
in real life, right?
Yeah, like it's strategical acting, for example. I love it in
Only if
games.
it's plus EV though.
True. Yeah, when it's when it's in the game plus a V, I definitely appreciate it. But I learned from myself that I would never act strategical in like in my world when I'm acting with humans or something like that. But it took some time to understand. Anyway, yeah, so I think they would see me as, I hope, like a nice person, like respecting any kind of freedom. So it's for me pretty important that everyone in my environment can expand their potential they have, but at the same time never attacking another potential from a human. This is like for me the threshold. I try to never judge. I think they feel it, and then there come some kind of communications that maybe wouldn't arise if I have this pattern in me. Yeah, but also like a kind of straight quiz. So it's something what I'm working on. But if there is a thing which is blocking me, then there comes like I'm currently calling the fighter quiz, so that I'm getting very straight and my empathic goes low. So I try to mix them up to still be respectful, etc. Even when something is happening, what I do not tolerate in my life. Yeah, so.
How easy is it to not be judgmental? Because we as humans,
Mhm.
at least most of us, we like to have a closure in everything, right? And this closure sometimes means to jump into a conclusion. So when it comes to other people, behaviors, or let's say character patterns that we see,
Yeah.
uh, I think it's our, and maybe I'm wrong, because obviously I'm not a sociologist, but I think our first instinct is to come to a conclusion. Oh, he's like that. Oh, she's like that. Right? How do you, because I'm really interested personally as well to know how do you not be judgmental, especially since it's very helpful, especially in poker,
Mhm.
oh, he's doing this and this and this. So we label people according to their actions, reg, top reg, fish, and it's good. And I think this
Yes.
conversation is going to be on and off poker because life is
Yeah.
poker as well. But
I think so too.
but how do you not be judgmental?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a fair question. Sure. So it depends a bit on the situation. So if there is like a poker problem, so that I can use then rationality to make conclusions. So I try to get all the informations I have and then make a conclusion out of it, always keeping in mind that the conclusion I have is only a conclusion. It is not. It has not to be the truth. So there's always a gap between the truth and the thought process and the conclusion I'm getting. And this is especially with humans. So when I observe something, it's pretty likely that what I observe is happening. Otherwise, my eyes or ears wouldn't work correctly. But I would define it as okay, my eyes, etc., are working. But I'm only observing it and I don't want to give it an interpretation.
Mm,
So I highly to avoid interpretations in humans because I have only a very tiny information
true.
from this person and
True.
can only see what he's acting.
So,
So for me, I still can say I don't accept that or I accept that, whatever, without judging it.
but you make an
And
effort.
that,
You make an effort not to judge, right?
yeah.
Or is it
Um,
or is it natural now?
yeah, well, I'm sitting there like a line. I'm only maybe you could call it judgment in the way that I took an action of a specific behavior. So, for example, someone is lying to me and I don't know this person, then I say, all right, I'm distancing from it. But I don't give it more credit, like,
Yeah.
why did he do that? Or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, uh, I think that's the difference between coming into a conclusion and judging. Because
Yeah.
judging is a little bit on the toxic side of conclusion, like, oh,
Yeah.
not only I understand this, but I think about you as this and this and this. So it's like overanalyzing conclusion and coming to other conclusion.
Yeah, I think in the way we are communicating it is pretty important there. Like you can say you are that or you are that,
Yeah.
but that sounds completely different when, like you say, from my perspective, it looks like that you have this or this pattern.
Exactly.
Because in the first way you say this is the truth, so
You box.
saying yeah, exactly. So that's and then when you think that your opinion is the truth, you don't allow other opinions or other perspectives because you think already you know the truth. So I think life is way easier when you realize that your thoughts can be very weird. The emotions which arises from the thoughts can be also very weird and has nothing to do with the truth. And this gives then a lot of freedom to allow other opinions, other perspectives, and even I would say removes the chain of want to do a judgment. Like for me, it's now I can't feel it anymore. I have no intent or motivation to do it, and this feels very befreiend. Gives you freedom in mind, or at least for me, my experience.
It's interesting what you said, Chris, because it's also by the law. Like, let's say I lied to you, right? You find out and you find out about it, and by the law, if you call me a liar, like I can sue you. But if you tell me you're lying, I cannot do that because you are commenting on my action and not on me as a person. Right?
Yeah. I like that. The distance between your personality, who you are,
and your
actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much the same
agree.
thing you said, like you don't box somebody, you just say, my perspective, it looks like this is happening.
Yeah. This sounds to me very healthy to do. And like with that, you can work on that. When you realize a pattern or an action is not the whole person. And same with I don't like this person. Like it's just a specific part of him or an action.
Yeah.
And that's it. But it makes it easy to say, I don't like him or I like this, whatever. It makes it very easy. And humans love to make easy conclusions, I guess.
True. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfectly.
Because I sometimes I move my hands, because I'm Greek. We move our hands a lot.
Is it?
And I hit my microphone, and I just sometimes I turn it off. Sometimes I
it survived it.
The sensitivity.
All good.
Chris, what are you really passionate about in life?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think about too much things. So it's very hard for me to focus on one.
That's good.
It has some advantages. I think one of the most important things for me is perception. So whatever it is, I just love it to discover new things. And for me, like I have zero physics backgrounds. Like no one in my family was studying, no one was caring about math or physics, whatever. I was just fascinated that physics, it seems to be for me at this time, can describe the world, the universe, etc. And that was the motivation to start it. That's pretty much it. And
not only you started it, but let's let everyone know that you have a PhD on theoretical physicist.
A master degree. I'm currently doing a PhD.
Oh, you're currently doing PhD.
Yeah, like physics and game theory. Obviously, poker player. But yeah. So yeah, it's hard for me to say, yo, I'm really passionate about that or that. It's everything which leads to some perception I love, and that's like a lot. So philosophy, national science, especially physics, even music. But as I mentioned it before, I'm terrible in playing keyboard, unfortunately. But I still like to invest more time and effort in it, because it's like a whole new thing to do something. Like with your actions, you can transform these actions into like a vibration or a frequency in a sound, and you can express emotions with that. And that was for me completely mind-blowing.
Express and generate as well, and also to transfer to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
Absolutely, for me too. I was completely not connected to music in my life, but as I did it now the first time, yeah, it was mind-blowing for me. Like, what the fuck's going on here?
And there is a mathematical perfection in music as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. Like, you can describe something via the mathematical approach, a physical, or an emotional. That's, I think, the beauty of solving a problem.
We were talking about this before we went live, and I couldn't agree more with you. About music. I actually had the same conversation with my daughter yesterday. We were coming back from the gym. She joins me now sometimes when
Nice.
especially when I go in the afternoon, because usually in the mornings she goes to school.
How old is
And
she?
she's going to be actually 14 tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back then, when during the COVID times, or the quarantine and everything, I did something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to learn to play the guitar. So I bought these courses online. I started playing, and I also bought. She liked watching me, and everything. And I thought, why not? I'll buy her a guitar, and did. But her being her age, she tried a little bit. She struggled. Obviously, I'm not a teacher. I couldn't teach her. I just gave her the same course that I got, and eventually she gradually she stopped playing. And I told her yesterday, you if you ever feel like you want to go back and try it again, do it, because if once you grow up, you may be sorry that you didn't. Of course, you can start learning anytime. Look at me, but it's better now, better now, because music is very I think it's something that we need to have in our lives, one way or the other.
Yeah, I think so. It's like, as a child, you can try so many things. Your brain is so empty. Like, in terms of, you don't have a lot of conditions in you or whatever. So you can just try everything. And like, when it's like procrastinating the reason, then I think it's nice to motivate the people to go on that, and also discover other things which we don't like, to set up some mindset, like setting some boundaries and all this stuff. What I like in life, what I don't like in life, and why, etc.
Is there something you really like but you're not very good at, and you wish you were better at? No.
Okay. Um, keyboard is one of the things I would really like to be better there. Like, before I die, I definitely want to play a specific piece. I can't call it right now. It's a pretty complex word. I really, really want to play it at least once, or learn this one.
What kind of music do you like playing on a keyboard?
Classical.
Classic?
Yeah, only classical.
Wow.
I mean, like 99%. For some reason, I appreciate this the most.
Yeah. Sometimes I like also listening to classical music when I play poker.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. And the viewers, trust me, they like it too. Mostly.
They like it too. Yeah. Sometimes they're asking for the playlist as well. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep, yeah, but it depends.
Hmm.
But it's also a mood thing for me, like
Hmm.
with especially with streaming. It's not, I don't like feel obligated to play this kind of music. The only thing that limits me is that I need to have long playlists, because I don't want to switch songs. You don't want to click more button when you play.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so if it's a classical 3 hour, Chopin, I'll listen to it,
Yeah,
or Bach or whatever. I'll listen to
yeah.
it. I'll put it there. But it's also a mood thing for me. I could listen to rock. I could listen to, Linkin Park or
Oh, I love
opera.
it.
I like all kinds of music. I don't have a preference. Is it
I
the
think that's
same?
a gift. I think
I don't
that's a
know.
gift.
I don't know. I'm just very open to music.
Yeah,
Uh, Whatever
yeah, and
sounds
that's
good.
uh-huh.
I am the same with food. That's why I have extra.
Me either.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Chris, when did you? Let's talk about poker a little bit. When did you first become interested in poker? Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Roughly. I know that there. Okay, so before I was a professional esporter in Counter-Strike,
Oh yeah.
and huh, and then as I moved to tournaments, etc., there were some guys who mentioned, yeah, well, there exists something where you really can make money because at my time, like it was not possible to make any money really much of esport. There exists a Cyber Athletic Professional League, which was the only one where you get some decent money. But in general, no one was interested in, even when the community base was so big. But like the games you were playing were already 10 years ago, already old. So no sponsorships like Nvidia or whatever was interested to support these games because you can play it on a Game Boy, these games. So yeah, I needed also an approach of making some money. And from my team, they were also very professional players, and like Side was one of them. Um, or yeah, whatever. But they said, "Hey, Chris, try it out." And yeah, well, then I tried it. I said, that's interesting. Let's invest some more energy. I figured out about the side Poker Strategy, which was offering a short stack strategy. So like they was describing it as if you play the short stack strategy, you can only win. And I was a fish, so I was just believing it, playing it, went broke for 20 times, I guess. But I found there some kind of the beauty of the game. So I stick to it and move then slowly, but step by step, a little bit up to the limits. And well, I was very bad in studying, unfortunately. Like, I really thought I would be great already with my NL5 skills, and it was always bad luck, etc. I was really like the typical fish at these times. But there, at this time, I found the beauty of the game. Yeah.
And how did poker impact you as a person? You think it had an impact on you?
Yes, but not like in the beginning. I think I think the impact begins by developing the skills which requires to be a good poker player. So understanding variance on a deep level has definitely an influence on also my life. Like you have always in variance, like when you met your wife, or like it can be like a very tiny thing why you meet each other and now you're going this life path. So accepting variance and not focusing on the results. Like the results can be great, but your action can be terrible, and exactly the opposite could be also the case. Um, Learning investments like this. I grow up in a kind of poor environment. It was good, everything okay. I had a flat, etc., but it was kind of poor. So I had this equation in my mind: you have to invest time and then you get money. So if you invest twice as time, you invest twice as money, etc. And poker helped me really much to get rid of this equation in my mind. And this was also pretty helpful too. Well, it was the first times for me to show, hey, Chris, the worldview you have is bullshit. Like, it's just one perspective of life. So it trained me to also accept other perspectives too. Yeah, so I think it's a great teacher, this game, in many aspects.
The one thing I would like to comment was what you said about variance. Unlike most of the players, the professional poker players, I came through business into poker, and I had a fair amount of businesses, startups, until after I started playing poker. And once I discovered the poker variance and learned, like you said, in a deeper level, I can safely say poker variance is much simpler than business variance. Because in poker, within poker, obviously there is variance outside poker that affects poker as well, but let's just stay in the game. All you have to worry about is that your 80-20s and 65-35s and 70-30s hold. That's it. That's the variance. On this spot, I'm getting this fold equity. That's good. Long term, I'm winning. In life, it's much different. Look at COVID. How many businesses were doing the right thing, working twice as hard, like you said, from their competitors, and then COVID just, broke them.
Yeah, and who is teaching that you? Like, if you don't have a poker background, you have a business. Who is teaching, like, hey, variance, like, that's just completely normal. You have to accept it. I think a lot of guys can't accept it really much, and then there comes the bad things of complaining and etc. I think poker is a great teacher.
It is. I learned a lot in the last 3 years. I'm playing poker about life and the rest. I learned a lot. I think it's but you have to be open, right? You have to be
for sure. You can make a use of it to manipulate yourself and saying, well, it's just variance that I am now a losing player. So it can be also the opposite. Very easy. So I think self-reflection and being open, as you mentioned, is very important. And because also poker is so much variance. Even cash game, MTT way more, but like poker, it's more easy to understand.
In MTT, I think about it it's a multi-level variance, because you may lose with aces versus whatever X hand, first hand, it's okay. But what if you lose the big spots on the big spots?
Exactly. And like, even I mentioned it sometimes in my coaching, because there were, from my perspective, no awareness about it. There's also variance of getting the hand deals. It's not like an algorithm. Sometimes you get 10 times in an hour aces. Sometimes you get it none in 2 hours or whatever. So, and every hand has an EV. So the average EV you get like per hour is highly fluctuating.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also variance included. And also for the round, what flops are coming. Some are good, some are bad. So also there's variance. Also then the turn is coming. There's variance also for the river. So there's a lot of variance and very complex to everything in mind, but you just can still make the best out of it. Yeah. And same for businesses. And I think that's way harder to discover the variances.
Yeah,
because exactly. It's like in a game, you can say, yeah, well, put A, B, C, D, and that's variance. And in business, holy shit.
And you have solvers for the game. You don't have solvers in businesses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think like very big concerns like Google and IBM, they're using something like Nash equilibriums to get strategies. But it's of course a very it's a very ideal model. Then they make, of course, like abstractions to that. But for understanding in which kind of situation they are, I've heard from, or I've reading some articles that they make also use of the Nash equilibrium, because I think it's an economical approach in general to get strategies of imperfect systems, and imperfect information systems is also a business. But it's very, very hard to develop like a solver for a business. It's way too much variables.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in the world we live now, there is a lot of information, but it will not be applied so perfectly as a solver, in poker, right?
Yeah.
There's also variance in that.
For sure. Also the solver. Like the solver has huge abstraction that he even can start the calculation. For example, you have to define the sizings. So which sizings are perfect? That was one of the reasons why I wanted to create PS, to have an algorithmus which knows which sizings are important and which are not. And calculating every board, like for example, I think I can't mention it, but like a public solver is not calculating all boards. It's just using a subset of boards and then making assumptions. And like if you have a flush, they're also making, they're merging different kind of flushes together to simplify the calculation, so that finally you can calculate it on a home PC. But a home PC is in general not made to calculate the poker game, because it's way too complex. So they have to do a lot of simplifications, and hopefully simplifications which are not reducing the quality of the result pretty much.
Yes.
That you can then do something, but this is not possible for home PC. Like it's way too simple a home PC to make accurate
this complicated calculations.
Yes.
So let's talk about Poker Scientist. I mean, we are already there,
Sure.
You are the CEO of one of the best GTO trainer, in my opinion, study tools out there.
Thanks.
How did you come up with the idea to develop it? I mean, how did you get to where you are right now with Poker Scientist?
One of the aspects was, which I mentioned, was the sizings. I wanted to study poker, and I tried it with different approaches, so many, and like it took so much time to at least calculate one specific situation, and then like I know that there exist millions of situations, so how can I study effectively? That was like my main question I wanted to figure out. And I asked then a couple of guys to like make a team, so that we create a game plan, so that we share every information, so then we can study maybe more effectively. And when it comes then to creating a team, you need some rules, like how do you want to calculate a specific spot? With which accuracy you want to use, like the accuracy is measured in the Nash distance, and which sizings you want to allow, etc. And then I figured out, wait, I could say, a small size, big size, etc. But I have not really a clue why I want to choose specific sizings. And then it created the thought process that maybe public solvers are not working in the way I would like to get the solutions. So this was the first aspect. And the other one, I wanted to, it was a time 3-4 years ago, maybe some guys are remembering that simplification of game trees are getting a thing. So everyone wants to simplify trees because it was so complex to understand. And then, there exist so many simplifications, and imagine you have like a problem which is defined by 100 factors. And if you remove all factors, then you have an accuracy of 0. And if you put everything in the calculation, then you have an accuracy of 100%. So maybe you just want to remove exactly these factors, which are not really reducing the quality of the result. So maybe there exist 90 factors, then you have only, which you can remove, and then you have 10 factors left, and it's still an accuracy of 99.9%. Now that would be awesome, or? So I opened my mind to effective simplifications. And about this, I also wrote my master thesis. So it connected them together. I developed an algorithm to simplify turn and river runouts for poker. So, roughly said, for 49 turn runouts, it can be the reason that can be the situation that there exist only 7 different strategies and not 49 because of 49. And for some others, it's only 3, and for some others, it's 45. So this was pretty interesting for me. And then I decided, all right, how can I make a use of it? And that was like the time Poker Scientist was born. So we started the company, developed all the things, creating the game plan, creating the algorithms for finding the optimal sizings, and effective simplifications. That you really see the game plan, which is important to understand. So it's kind of simple, but never simpler. So sometimes you only have one size in PS, and sometimes you have 7. So it really depends on the situation. That's then also a kind of at least an opportunity to understand more about the game. Like why on situation A I have only one size, and why in situation B I have 7 sizings. What's the reason? So you get the opportunity to understand on the deeper level the game. And that, I think, increases the win rate, which is a high motivator for a lot of poker players. Yeah.
So basically, you created something that you would want to exist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, as a poker professional as well.
Mm-hmm.
As a poker player,
Yeah.
poker professional, and someone who's studying, right?
Yep. I just it was had problems with studying.
So
I tried to
you
solve
turned a
them.
problem into a business, into a solution that would later on be also a business.
True.
This is in my opinion, and like I said, I come from business. This is the best way to make businesses, to turn problems into businesses. Because when we face a problem, any problem, the chances are there are a lot of people in the world that are facing the same problem. And if we can create that solution, then it's a solution for them as well.
Yeah.
And no matter how big or small a problem is, it doesn't have to apply for the whole world. Even if the less the people it applies to, the more of a niche it is, and then there's not going to be competition. Of course, this applies to a lot of people because the global poker community is currently growing still. But why do you think though? Why do you think people choose poker scientist? What is it that makes people choose that one over other?
Okay. You mean like related to other competitors?
Yes. I mean, we don't have to talk about competitors, but what is it that you think is the reason people choose poker scientist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a question also of on which currently situation they are. So some guys are playing micros, NL10, NL25. We have a lot of players in this environment, and they really appreciate that they don't have to put the effort into like a solver, like defining sizings, accuracy, even calculations, which maybe can't be done on a home PC, so that they have directly access to it and can train it on Neura. But for the professionals, like I would say up to NL 200 or 100 and higher, they make more a usage of the simplification. So that back in the days, when you want to simplify something, it takes hours for one single flop. And now you have this, we have like 400,000 solutions in the database with not a human orientated acting. It's like an algorithmus which has mathematical backgrounds. We have a proof that this is the best way to simplify a strategy. And then they can increase the efficiency of their studies. So I think this is their main intention. And from guys like nosebleeds and like grinding really, really much the high stakes, mostly they just enjoy the simplifier. So that you can manipulate the strategy and can see then how much EV you're gonna lose if you remove, for example, the overbet. This is one of the things I'm really excited about, that if you join right now an NL5K table, in a single race pot, you mostly do not see overbets. You just nearly no one is doing that. But if you're gonna check then out our solutions, it's a very crucial thing to do overbets and even do donk overbets, like cut off open race, big blind is calling, and then you have ace, like ace 2-4 rainbow.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So ace low board, this one. I posted it in
I've
Instagram.
seen a post, and I was very interested in like, and I'm like, does the population? I mean, it's not like they do have an ace always, but do they fold? Like, do they fold? Do you get the fold equity? What are the chance? Like, it's interesting. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very exotic situation. So I think on average, pupids are reacting more tight to something they don't know than they know what to do. So of course there comes then the theoretical solution that you have to overbet about 10-11%, which I don't know. I think I never saw it on high stakes. And if you're gonna do this, then of course you get this theoretical EV plus the extra EV by exploiting your opponent because he doesn't know how to play these spots. So this gives you an extra advantage, and it doesn't have to be so exotic. It's on very basic boards like ace high low two suited, button versus big blind, maybe ace queen 5 two suited. You have to overbet a ton of hands there. In theory, when you know now that the reaction is that they're overfolding against overbets, of course, then you play your value hands just in an 80% size or something like that, but you overbluff then a ton of hands in the overbet. This information you would get then from database analysis. So there's a ton of potential to, for example, understanding how overbets are working in early streets. And this is still not developed in the poker world, even on the highest stakes, which I really find very interesting, and I'm very sure that this will be one of the next things in the next years, which will be implemented, because it's mostly like
the donk overbet,
for example, or the flop overbet either. That mostly when you in the past before solvers exist in high stakes happens something, and then it moves down the strategical acting to lower and lower limits, and then at the end of the day, also on NL5, they're open raising 2.5x. So they got it. And yeah, that's just the general flow, what I experienced in poker, which makes also sense to me. And now I'm just waiting for when it happens.
And I think right now this travels faster because from high stakes to lower because of Twitch, right? Like let's say I play NL5. I see, somebody playing on NL200 do something, and like, okay, I just bring it instantly,
Yeah, that's interesting.
I have a couple of
Yeah.
questions, by the way, from the chat. Would you like me to read them to
Sure.
you? So,
Sure.
okay, Gondis Nigo says he wants your opinion whether or not solvers have any value for someone who's playing micro stakes, and where their opponents don't also play the optimal play. What would be your response to that?
It's one of the fundamental questions about poker. I think there exist so many videos with that exploit versus GTO. So it's always the case that humans are not playing GTO. Sometimes we can measure it maybe like a distance, so that when someone is playing exactly the same like GTO, then the distance is 0. If there's a big gap, like they play completely different, then it's a high distance. So the distance is first correlating with the skill of the player, and the skill is correlating with the limit. So when he plays on microstacks, of course, they're far away in general, even in simple situations of playing GTO. And in general also, it correlates with the complexity. So if there's a very complex situation like a river spot and it was a check raise on flop, turn, whatever, on average, the distance between how a human play then in this river situation is completely different than a solver would do. So this could then lead to the thought, I don't have to study solver solutions. But from my perspective, it is not a versus fight. For me, it is the case that if you want to understand the game, so that not a range or like, oh, I have to defend 40% on this spot and check raise 12% on the other one. I don't think this will bring you to anything, because the complexity of a game is way too complex to have all the numbers in your mind. But to really understand the mechanics or the principles of the game, then a solver would help you to revise the skill set. And with that skill set, that when you understand in a situation how you want to play and especially why, this gives you then the opportunity to exploit your opponents efficiently. So when you're a pool, you play on micros, they are very typical leagues, like they fold too much. Or they stick too much on great hands, but on average, the fold frequency is just too high. The check raise frequency is way too low. And also the call frequency versus check raise is also, yes, it's also way too low. So when we say way too low or way too high, then it needs an orientation point. Like what is then perfect? And with that, it helps you a lot to understand the solution by a solver, because then you have a number or like an understanding what kind of hands you want to check raise in a specific spot. Then you make the assumption, all right, I play NL5, so they have this human behavior. And with that two informations, like this two columns, you come then to a perfect solution how you should react on a specific limit. So I would say yes, after you have understand the really fundamentals of poker.
Yeah.
What is an EV? What is equity? What is the information? Like why the button has an information advantage to big blind, and what is what it gives you? Like really just the fundamentals. And then try to understand really the game and make a use of it on the real tables, but never copy paste the strategy, for example, on Poker Scientist, because especially on low stakes or micro stakes, it will give you a solution or a strategy which will not be the max EV strategy.
MatrixCy love.
So it needs third skill, and that is the application of the theoretical strategy into your current environment.
Whoa.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Stefanemu. I don't know if I have my shout out command working. Probably not. Thank you, Stefanim, for the 10 gifted sub. Oh, there it is. It works. It works.
That's awesome.
Well, Chris, Just Night, I don't know if you know him. Is since you said that you used to play Counter-Strike professionally, you may want to watch Just Night playing PUBG.
Is he a PUBG professional?
He's a
beast.
He's probably one of the best in Europe. Definitely top 5. He's so satisfying to watch. He's really good.
I see.
Really good.
Awesome.
But he just does it because he loves it. He never joined professional team, as far as I know. No. But you gotta give him just watch him play. He's so satisfying to watch.
I also love to see professionals just playing, just like Just Night. How they aim, as you said, it can be just
his aim, especially
satisfying.
his aim.
Okay.
He's very quick to aim, very precise.
Awesome.
Thank you, Stefanemus, so much for the 10 subs to the Spinning Head, Hugo, On the River, Κινητό 69, Loop, Lucky Bluff, Spederoi, Sputley, and to Hutchin. Thank you, Steph Mu. So to come back to the question, so basically it's a yes, and I would also add that eventually if we want to move up, play higher, we kind of have to start playing as close as possible to GTO, and right? So we shouldn't think of ourselves as microstake player forever, right?
Yeah, I agree to this. That in general, my point is there that make a use of this theoretical solution, but never just copy pasting it. So you play even on exploitable environment way better because you can exploit more efficiently, really understanding the game mechanics. This is what I have learned for me. So I don't want to join now too much in the theoretical, but you have your pool, and you have unknown regs, and you can maybe cluster also some player types. And then maybe starting very roughly. Unknown reg, then the tight reg, which means he's overfolding, check raising too less, etc. And maybe an aggressive reg, and maybe also calling station. And now you have these types, then you can make some assumptions. So against a calling station, you want to bluff way less. So studying then the theoretical solution, and this gives you then an idea what kind of bluffs do you really want to have and why. And then you can start separating it by the bluffs you shouldn't bluff, and the other bluffs you should still bluff against the calling station. And it's getting there a very straight answer that there exist bluffs which does not have any EV, additional EV. So giving up the bluff or doing the bluff has exactly the same EV. And the reason is then balancing. And there exist a lot of hands which are only want to bluff for balancing. But there exist also bluffs which are crucial to do. So you're just doing this then against the guy who's a calling station. And then you get you're developing some kind of skill set you wouldn't if you don't have access to a perfect solution. So this helped you then actually in a very exploitable environment, even when you don't use them directly. This is what I wanted to mention with doing an application or learning an application of theoretical solutions. And against a tight guy, you just bluff everything, like roughly said. But
So it's important. It's important to apply the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge, in the right moment versus the right player, the right setup, let's say.
Yes,
So
exactly.
perfect. Another question we have: are we going to see 200 big blinds on game plan,
Mhm.
or even I guess deep stack play?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's right now in the background. We have like a system of a ton of machines who are working together because it needs a ton of. We maybe an example now. We're calculating 75 BB MTTs, and it needs about 400 CPU cores to get it
Wow.
done in about a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's and or like that the tree structure can even be applied needs about 400 gigabyte, which is okay. Cache game was even more complex, but to get a feeling that never a home PC can create some poker solutions. Um, so 75 BB on MTT is pretty much the same complex as 150 BB cache game. So yes, it will be definitely accessible. We don't have right now like a due date when. Um, I think about in the next 2 months can be reasonable to have a 200 BB game plan. Yeah, and then 150 either, so that you can see the transaction of the strategy, what is changing because you're deep.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of studying once it's in there.
Yeah,
Lots of studying.
yes, it's pretty interesting how the strategy shift is then.
Yeah.
It's very like way more nut advantage related, the ranges you want to play, etc. So yeah, I would say to be straight, in about 2 months, it's reasonable.
In about 2 months. Oh, that's
Yes.
it's not even that far. At
Mhm.
this point, I'm going to start the giveaway. Giorgio is happy about it. Let me just also put it in a.
We have like it seems to be that you're a user of PS Churchu. So if you have any kind of feedback or ideas, you can always share it like in Discord. We have also like a public roadmap. So we really like to get these kind of questions or feedbacks because at the end of the day, we want to offer things which helps you the most. So sure, 200 BB is definitely a thing.
Giorgio says, "I guess we're not going on vacations this summer." That's for sure. Just to mention the giveaway, Chris is going to be giving you the opportunity to win a month of subscription in Poker Scientist. Going to be giving 3 of you the opportunity. So to enter the giveaway, just enter exclamation mark PS. What about for the people that are already registered? That that work too. That can work too,
Yeah,
right? So if you are
yeah.
already a registered member of Poker Scientist, you uh, can still participate. So I have some questions ready to ask you here, Chris, but you answered quite some of them.
That's
But let
good.
me ask you one. Like, what is a wrong way for someone to use Poker Scientist, and what is
Mhm.
like
I
I
like the question. I never heard it, I guess, before.
yeah, because
I like it.
I had here what is the best way for someone to use it, and you
Yeah,
already explained that. And I also have what is a wrong way. I mean,
yeah.
yes,
So I think one which I could imagine happens the most is to use it as a rough hand or session reviewer. So you have played a hand, and then you're checking at PS, all good. But then when it comes to, all right, I played flop correctly, turn correctly, river correctly, PS related, so let's move forward. I think that would be a wrong way, because there's then completely no human behavior implemented. And it's very easy for the ego especially to say, yeah, I played it correctly because PS is saying that, so let's go forward. And if I have bad results, then that's just variance, blah, 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 blah. So really, when doing a hand review, I prefer to do way less and then in more detail. Like on the flop strategy, does this range make sense? Does my opponent really play like that roughly? It doesn't have to be fit exactly, completely not. But like, is the general structure, does it make sense? And if yes, move forward. And to ask the same for the turn and river. And if not, then keep in mind what kind of assumptions you should do. So let's say you are in the river and PS is saying you played great, you have to call the all-in on the river because you have an EV of 0.1. Now, mostly PS is bluffing hands, which is a human not getting to bluff. So let's look at the range and then remove a couple of combinations, and then you understand that you're not in the real table creating EV of 0.1, it's more minus 30 BB or something like that, when you just remove a couple of bluffs on a river decision. So don't just copy paste the hand and see if it's played correctly theoretical. Always keep in mind the human logic and implement that into your hand review. I think that otherwise it's a self-manipulation. Then just playing the trainer without any intention, like just playing a position and then not reviewing the hands or studying in game plan. I think this is more, yeah, it makes fun to play against a trainer and you get directly results like dopamine, etc. It's very easy to play against Neura. And then you can say to yourself, I studied, it's so cool, I have to move up. But it's the same with watching content videos. So how you consume them. So I think that's also very easy to. I wouldn't advise to just play against a trainer without any additional effort in it.
For example,
Yeah.
when I was doing coaching
Mhm.
with Evianigos Panos, you met. So we were doing 3-bet pots out of position.
Mhm.
And back then I wasn't playing a lot. I had other things to take care of at the time. And he goes to me, listen, just sign up, Scientist, play 1,000 3-bet pots out of position, and just play the flop. You know, just the flop play. You don't care about turns and rivers at the moment. Just the flop, and just play 1,000 spots from each position versus each position, and then you'll be much better from where you are right now. So I did just that, and like if you want to play in real life, 1,000 spots, it's gonna take you very long to do so, right? Play 1,000 times small blind versus button, small blind versus cutoff, no?
Yeah. One tabling.
But it was so fast with Poker Scientist, and within 2-3 hours, maybe more, I was nearly there. With each position, with one position, like wouldn't
Okay.
no. and that helped
Okay.
me a lot. It helped me starting to understand the boards, understand the ranges, where my range versus their range, and that was a good start for me. Uh, that was even before I started playing NL10. you know. I had this,
Okay.
I had all these theoretical and semi-practice experience before I started playing. It helped me a lot,
Hmm.
like a lot.
So is it that you get a rough idea how to play 3-bet flops?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it wouldn't be my advice, but I can understand that it helped you in that current state. Um, so that's, yeah, fair enough. To get this rough idea, hey, on this board structures you have to do big bet. On these ones you can do small bet. So it's like a
Like a,
observing the
like a, s-
surface
like a
of.
simplifier, like a simplifier strategy on specific types of boards.
Mhm,
Like we categorize uh,
mhm,
the boards. Say, uh, to- I mean, obviously, it's not the best way to use the maximum of the solver, but to take you from A to B, I think it's more than enough. Player, you know,
mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
for a player like me, when I was didn't have a clue. The
Yeah,
tournament player.
I can understand the benefit of this approach. Like, it just wouldn't be my approach, but I'm also not saying that my approach is the best. I just understand how it comes, where the benefit comes from, and to get this to like the surface of this. If like the whole understanding of poker is like in a ball, then like going to the surface of this ball
To begin
is
to scratch the surface.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
exactly. So can be definitely it makes sense for me that this approach brings you there. So yeah,
Uh,
fair enough.
like, what would be like you're also doing coaching, right?
Hmm.
So let's say you have a student and he or she is going through a specific subject. Let's say let's say another subject, which for me it's more complicated. But let's say button versus big blind single raise pot.
Okay,
I think
nice.
this is more complicated
Yes.
uh, because there are a lot of the ranges are wider. Like three
Hmm.
bet pods, four bet pods start to get simpler. They have
Hmm.
specific range. But how would you have them, study flop, just the flop? What to
Yeah.
range three bet and what to not?
Okay. It
Using poker science.
extreme. Yeah. It extremely influences with on which level he is currently. So talking completely different with an NL25 player and to an NL1K player, completely different. So it makes no sense, I think, to make any toy games or talking about very deep strategical discussions when he's playing NL25. He has to understand the basics. So then to re-ask what kind of stage he currently is this guy I'm coaching. What would you say, like for the example you wanted to give
Um,
me?
well, obviously there are. Let's say we are talking about NL 25 to 50 player, because
Okay.
mostly uh, I guess my to simplify my question is to use it, how to use it for this spot. Let's say this spot
Yeah. And for this kind of players
for this kind
who
of
are
players.
in a 50 and a 25.
NL 25 and
Okay,
50
cool.
NL 10 and this range
Hmm.
10 to 50.
Okay. So I would make sure that they know the value of the range EV. So I make sure does they understand what is the range EV and that it's actually existing. Just the average EV of your range. So, and then I build the connection about the strategy and the range EV so that they are highly correlating with each other. And this hopefully gives them a fundament finding the strategy. So that when you know how your range EV is in spot A, B, C, blah, 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 you get already an understanding how much percentage you want to bet, but it does not give you any information about the structure. So it can tell you want to bet 100% or 90 or 50. I don't want to teach that the numbers exactly, just overall, do you want to bet there a lot or not a lot? And when they have understand that, then I go one step further and coming to the point of the, okay, you mean only flops, so otherwise I would continue with turn river with the same with range EV. But if it's only flop, then we're talking about range structure. So why you want to bet on spot A with that sizing and why on another one on a small size. And it is this information is not anymore in the range EV. But this would be for me the first crucial things to understand. And in my coachings, I'm not talking anything about frequencies. I mostly talk in terms of hand categories. So if you have a hand, define it, but not like, yeah, I think I have 70% equity or 80 or whatever. Define in which hand category is there. Is it the set? Is it the flush draw, etc. So this is like kind of easy. But when it comes a bit more complex, like you have two backdoor draws and two overcards. And this is also a hand category, and these hand categories are highly correlating with the action you want to do. It is not really the hand. Like you could say 4-5, I want to check raise. For flop A, this is true, but for B, it mustn't be any more true. But if you say, I want to check raise two backdoors and two overcards, for example, if this is in a check raise in spot A, then it is also in B, C, D, E if the range EV is approximately the same. And this gives them a whole new understanding from my experience to understand the game. So they can think now really in hand categories. And this makes, from my experience, a lot of difference of understanding the game and also replicating it. Yeah, so that would be my first lesson for flops.
Yeah. In relation also to the solver, which brings me to the next question. Why do you think some people may be hesitant to subscribe to Poker Scientist?
Yeah. Well, first, it costs money for something that you're not getting directly some material. It is so you have to go or to overcome the point that investing money to develop on your own, I think is not obvious for everyone. But also other reasons can be the case. So
But you would expect someone who's serious about poker, understand the value of an investment. Like, okay, it costs an X amount of money, but this is a tool that I need to have, which will eventually make me better player, and then win more money on the table. And
sure.
right, you would expect people to think like, cannot say, oh, but I play on an L10, this is expensive for me. I mean, why do we study? We don't even have a job when we go to university, right?
Mhm.
it's like you have to invest in yourself, right?
Yes,
You would
that's
expect people to understand that.
yeah. Well, for you, it is. It makes sense, and also for me, I wouldn't say that everybody thinks in this way. I mean, they understand it, then it costs you directly something. I could easily also imagine that they say, hey, I can do it on my own also. I don't need that or whatever, because then you don't have to pay it. So there are a lot of reasons, I think, why they find different approach to study the game, um, even if they're true or not. So I think there's a very psychological area we will then open. And I didn't met a lot of people who mentioning why they are not going to PS. It's
Yeah, true, true, true. I mean,
most are coming to me and saying, "Yeah, I'm in the boat because of that or that." But
I did, and mostly I think it's what we discussed earlier. It's because you know it's a very powerful tool, and with unlimited potential and capabilities, and some people don't know how to use it
yeah,
efficiently,
yeah,
and
exactly.
you know, and
That's
this.
definitely a good reason. Um, yeah, we get a lot of emails from that, for example. Like they would love to get more content about it. I think, I mean, I can say that very soon there will be a dramatic change in content which will be accessible with PS, like a dramatic change. But I have signed an NDA contract, so I
Yeah, no
can't talk
problem, no
about it.
problem.
But it will definitely have a change, a huge change. And then, like for every kind of feature, how to study with it, how to study efficiently for that, for a microplayer, for low stakes, mid stakes, high stakes, etc., so that you can make the best use out of it. So sure, it's not obvious how to learn efficiently. Um, Otherwise, I mean, this game is too complex to
It is,
have
it
a
is, it is.
straight
On the
answer.
other hand, there are a lot of people using Poker Scientist, and
Mhm.
they and it's really helping them, uh,
Yeah,
with their game, me
fortunately,
included.
yeah,
Uh, Kirago says, I believe it's also if you have the ability to get the most out of it.
yeah, yeah. I think that's very true. So, es- especially this was a little bit correlating with the question of when we should use like a solver. So that you need some kind of fundamentals to then learn efficiently. And if you are not sure, we have this Discord channel, so you are never alone. There are always persons who can also give you some advice or seeing it from their perspective, how they learn with it. And then, like, it for something which works for person A does not work for person B. So they're trying things out, seeing what helps you, what not, because everyone is also in another state and everyone is also learning a little bit different. For some people, approach A is very natural, and some thinking, "What the fuck? I have no clue what you are doing there." And that's fine. But trying it out and then see how it goes, and the support is there. Like there are persons who will help you then. And I'm also at the same situation. Like with the simplifier, for example, I'm currently trying to, and the runout clustering, to learn efficiently with it. I love to see the results. I love it because it's so fucking mind blowing. I wouldn't say that I'm doing it efficiently. So maybe, for example, if I study a spot and then I'm in the situation, I make a hand review, I'm on the turn, and then I see, okay, do I want to call now the turn bet? And it's like an 80% bet my opponent was betting. And I see maybe, okay, I have an EV of 1 or 2 BB per BB, EV. So it's a clear call from this theoretical perspective. Now I want to get more information about my opponent, and I'm figuring out this is a really tight guy. And that means then also that he's not overbetting if it's like a bluff. So I can just remove the 160% action on PS, and then you get the new strategy and you see that the 80% action becomes way stronger if you don't allow the overbets. So now I'm not exactly at the truth, but I'm closer at the truth with that additional information of, yes, that he's not having the overbet. And then it becomes a clear fold, the hand which was maybe a clear call before. So that's cool to know, but I'm very sure that there exist more efficiently approaches to study with it, and I want to make a plan out of it, etc., and then finally releasing some videos so that I can share it with the users.
Yeah, that would be great. No? Oh, we have Evgeny Gos in the chat. So basically,
Hey.
Chris, what you're saying is that we need to, it's all great and good to have the theoretical knowledge, but we also need to, we also need to know when to apply it, and also we need to adjust according to our opponents. So it's still poker. We still need to have information for our opponents, right? It's not only just straight mathematical approach 100%. It's a lot of other variables that we have to connect.
Absolutely.
Before making the decision. Even though we know it's mathematically correct, still, we need to know the type of player we're up against.
Absolutely, Steve. It's for me, it's like a weapon that you can even shot yourself with that to understand the theory. Yeah, but like
hopefully in the leg.
But yeah, that you understand the theory and then you think, okay, I should just play. Okay, I mean, no one knows exactly the theory, but they are very good in theory, but they are very fucked up in applicating this theory. So they're still only playing not the highest stakes. So then they have really to focus on how to applicate that. And by understanding the theory, it can, when you really believe that this is the only thing you should do, then it will damage you. But if you're open-minded and self-reflected, that you make a use of it, you can using it in a way that it helps you by allowing yourself of adding this, as you mentioned it, the extra informations, human behavior, etc. And when it's more relevant, when it's more irrelevant, then it becomes a big weapon on the live tables.
BFFB 1983 says you also shouldn't be in a rush learning these things. Take your time climbing stakes. Mm-hmm. As my coach says, when you're climbing stakes, and I would like your opinion on that. Says you should climb stakes as the best player in the field or close to it, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's better to be very solid in the stakes you played, and just keep there. When you reach a higher level, then you move stakes.
Yeah, I think it's like a symptom. So you're studying, then you will increase probably your win rate if you're doing it in a good way at least. And that when it increases your win rate, then for short or long time, you will move up. But let it go. Let it like a flow go. From my perspective, it will happen automatically. But if you not study, then from nature you won't move up. So every session you're studying, is it the database analysis, is it with PS or whatever? at least give the potential to increase your win rate, which you have on the table. What happens then on the table, like which cards you get, etc., that's then variance. But you, like if there are two universes and in one you study 40 hours a month and the other one you're not, you will have theoretically different win rates. And this leads then to other futures or life passes. That's your decision which one you're going to take.
One second, because I think I have a command wrong here. Let me just fix it for the giveaway. Yeah. At this point, I will. We have a giveaway running, guys. Chris is going to be giving away three of you a free month on Poker Scientist. So, but the command is not. It's exclamation mark PS, not scientist. I have to find a way to fix the. I don't know. One of the most valuable streams today, guys, says Evgeny Gos. Thank you, Vanu. Thank you. At this point, let me tell you guys, if you have any questions to ask Chris, feel free. We're here. Chris has told us a lot about Poker Scientist, how to use it, how not to use it. He also gave us some insight about, some things that we should be expecting in the next months. Those of you that just arrived, we also talked about deep stack play, 200 big blinds.
Yeah.
Chris. And also some material on how to make make the most of it, the most of Poker Scientist. Those of you that just tuned in, we tell you that Poker Scientist. I showed it a couple of times on stream. Showed it last stream as well. It's actually let me ask Chris to give like an introduction of what is it like. How would you describe it? A trainer, a solver? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I would say it's a web application to browse any kind of solution you want to get, and the solutions are created in a way that it has to calculate via Nash equilibrium, but also was finding the optimal sizings and then simplified it as much as possible, but not simpler. So roughly said about the game plan.
So it's also a way for people to optimize and and take their game as close as to GTO as possible, right?
Yeah, it's one approach if you want to understand GTO for sure. See it like one of the two columns to be like perfect in poker. The theoretical part, the GTO, then the practical part and the application between them, the connection. And you have to be good at all of them, and I think they're highly influencing to each other. So like if you suck in theory, it will definitely show you it in the win rates, but also if you suck in doing the application of the theory, it will also will show you it in your win rate. So yeah.
Καλησπέρα, Θωμαή. Καλησπέρα.
You have fancy emotes.
That's not mine, actually.
Oh.
This is
okay.
Thomai is also she's also a streamer. She has this very nice podcasts, guests,
Hmm.
and I enjoy watching her stream. She streams in Greek
Hmm.
alongside Klimis. She says hello. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Hi.
And yep, stop by to say hi, even though she's not, familiar and Fogger. That's nice of you, Thomai. Thank you for stopping by. So I wanted to ask you, Chris, what do you think about online poker versus live poker? Because you obviously mentioned that you play live as well, right? You go in Austria, but
No, not to live games. It was more a law
because of the
motivation.
okay, but
Yeah,
you don't play live at all.
I do, but like when I was in Vegas, for example, I played a ton of cash game live, and yeah, well, it's fun. It definitely makes fun to play there. It's of course kind of soft, but I would also say that like the part of like the application of theory is extremely important because it's completely different the environment than playing on an NL200 Zoom table. Like you have the 8 guys, 6 of them are already completely drunk, and then you have like 6-way pots all the time. So how you adapt that? Yeah, and what if they are never folding some specific hand types? It's a very high exploitative game, but I like it. Sometimes I would never make a live out of it. I think would be too much variance for me, but sometimes I really enjoy it. Yeah, it has some benefits. What about you?
Well, I don't have I don't have extensive live experience. I mostly play online.
Mhm.
Uh, but from what I see, especially here in Cyprus, it's, especially in cash games, the level is so low. Like
Mhm.
you're a losing reg in NL25 online, you will be one of the best players in in
Mhm.
NL300 uh, live.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so the best,
It's
the best player is a is a bad reg uh, as a population. Of course, there are good
okay.
players as well, but at least for Cyprus.
Interesting. It's for me in general an interesting subject because I know a lot of guys who are very very strong poker players, and they are down a lot in live games. It could be variance, but I'm not sure. It's and look like Phil Hellmuth, like it's a little bit a meme in the online poker world, and a lot of guys are blaming him, saying he's not good, but he has great results. Like he's playing on live games, he has pretty, I think, great results.
And we had this conversation with Panos a couple of nights ago, especially about Helmut. It's
Okay.
not very easy for a player like Helmut to transition to the modern
Yeah.
game from like we were kids when we were watching Helmut, and he's still there making final tables in Vegas and winning,
Yes.
and he's still there.
Yes. Exactly.
So,
So there is some skill set which is valuable in the live poker world, which I think he highly has developed over the decent of years.
and his understanding of the game, the
Yeah. Yeah.
he's doesn't work with solvers. He doesn't,
He's a PS user, I guess.
yeah, he's a natural, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Exactly. Yeah, so it just shows us then that different approaches leading to good results, even if it's very exotic. So for him, I think he's good in live games and has a wonderful exploitive approach. I would love to talk with him in the future runs, and I think I can learn a lot of him in terms of exploits in live games.
Pano says Helmuth equals chameleon. Just respect. Like chameleon adapts
Yeah.
to his
Okay,
environment.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that brings it pretty much to the point. I think he can adapt a lot, understanding the young guys how they playing, and then exploiting exactly that. And he's maybe also aware of what kind of image he has. So yeah, I think he's smarter than how he's often described in the online poker world.
Smarter than how smart he's credited to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe so too. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
That's maybe connects a bit to our very first subject we were talking about. Like just observing him, then creating this image, but which is not like the truth, which is just a specific part of him, which maybe lets him look as a weak player. But considering then all the other perspectives of him, gives us then an image which is closer to the truth, like allowing to saying, hey, he has his approach and he is like a chameleon, for example. Uh, this leads then to at least to a picture which is just more truth than just blaming him or whatever.
I don't have to read that, right? Yeah,
Yep.
I think mostly talking about Bill. I think what got him the bad reputation was his, outburst. Say, say
Mhm.
people quickly pick up on these things and then just judge. This is how we
Yeah.
started the conversation as
Yeah.
well, and they don't see the big.
Yes. Exactly.
But he's made it. He's still there, and he's still winning. So don't take it away from.
Yep.
And these old school players, they have so many different, qualities one from another, but you have to admire. Like Phil Ivey. Ivy for me is like the definition of a live player. Soul reads, poker
Hmm.
face,
Hmm.
don't know what's going on, behind his,
Yeah. Me
face,
either.
no
I
emotion.
would I would love to. I would love to. Yeah. Also, maybe that's your new guest in the podcast. I would love to hear a little bit about from him. Or have a discussion with him.
Oh, I would love to have him, but I don't know. We, I don't know.
Later.
Maybe if we get him drunk, he'll accept and join us.
He's often in Bobby's room in Vegas. Maybe there you can connect to him.
I'm gonna just pop up there with my
Yep.
camera, everything ready, and just talk
Let's
right
go.
now.
Yeah. Let's go.
uh,
Yeah.
hopefully. Um. So, how much time do we have, Chris?
It depends. Like if you have some questions in mind you would really like to talk about, then we can go through them.
Yeah, let's. I would conclude with just a couple of
Hmm.
questions.
Okay.
Um, I mean, we talked a little bit about you. We talked a little bit about life growing up, then study some of your hobbies. Talked about poker.
Mhm.
Uh, poker scientist. So concluding, this is a question I like to ask my friends or people that know me about me, but I'm gonna ask it to you directly. So if you wrote an autobiography book tomorrow, what would the title be?
Hmm. Uh, Never saw about this question before. Um, Trying to reduce the distance of to reality and my image, and then in brackets, I also love animals and money. I don't know, something like that.
So the title would be, can you, like, you narrate it to like a title, or that would be the title? That would be the
Yeah,
whole.
yeah, that would be like the title, I guess.
Okay. Evgenigo
Yeah.
says, Vegas be my home.
Yeah, probably not.
That's
I'm like,
his title, I guess. He's talking about
ah,
his
his
title.
title. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it has some really nice parts, Vegas, for sure.
Never been Vegas. I've been in
You
other
want to?
states, but never in Vegas.
Do you want to in the future, like VSOP or something like that?
Yeah, it's a dream for me to
Ah,
go and play the main event. I
okay.
I I wish, I wish I am to the level that I can go and play uh, in this event. Love to be the right level, because it's not only a decision, oh yes, I'm going. I need to feel that I'm ready to go and play the main event.
What does it mean with ready? And from
My
which perspective?
my poker level versus the
Oh,
population.
okay. But I think the main event is one of the softest event I've ever played in my life. So
Really?
maybe, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. I
When did you
was
play it, Chris?
the last one.
The last one?
Yeah. And there were like some famous big name MTT players. I were with them, and they calculated me the EV, the hourly, and the related to the level of the blind structure. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, it's very profitable and very hard to not play it plus EV. Very hard, like really hard.
But you're talking
It's
about
a
the main event, not the cash games, because you played cash games as well, right?
yeah. Like I was grinding a lot in Vegas. I think like 60 tournaments and cash games. Like the average day is like waking up 10 a.m. The tourney starts about 2 hours later, so you start the tournament. And then if you bust, you rebuy if it's not a freeze out tournament. And if it was not possible, mostly late registration was ending like 3, 4 p.m. Yeah, well, then I was playing a cash game. So that was like my 2 months in Vegas,
Are you
just
going
every
this
day.
year?
I'm not sure. I think yes, but not for 2 months. It was way too long, I think. I was literally grinding every day. Or like from 60 days, I was grinding 58 days,
Oh, that's a lot.
14 hours a day.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Um, so it was kind of definitely fun, but it was like too much.
Much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
And
guess if you're doing it, and I mean, well, it's all a matter of results as well, right? Like if you're getting the results, then you're motivated the next day and the same next day, right?
mhm. Yeah, well, the variance of MTTs in live game is so crazy. But it just makes fun when you have a good table there, good in terms of nice people. You can have conversation, whatever. I met there so many people that it just makes fun, the whole thing, the atmosphere, the peoples, and also like the um, the vibe of you playing their tournament and then for first 8.5 million or whatever. It definitely, I mean, it's a little bit the mind fuck or mind manipulation, but you can make a use out of it, that it's
Yeah.
positive for you. So yeah, I think I will be back in Vegas, but maybe for a couple of weeks. But definitely playing the main event because
Well,
it's
who knows?
crazy.
Maybe we'll see each other there if I
Really
make it this
likely
year.
if you decide to. And like if I don't know right now about the MTT, how much MTTs you have played and studied, etc. But really, I was mostly sitting there with like 5 American fun players on one table, and then it's really hard to not play it plus EV.
I used to play MT. Like I started my poker journey playing MT. Most of
Mhm.
most of the time, like I just started playing cash 7 8 months now.
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar. I had a good I had also a good run in the uh merit main
Ah,
event
did
line.
yeah, you mentioned it. I think a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
months
yeah.
before.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and it's basically what you just described. So I know that.
Mhm.
No? Uh, but there's also variance. I would love to play though, and it's 2 hours, right? The level. Fine.
Yes, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I made it to day 3, but very close before in the money I busted then.
Uh,
Yeah, obvious. Yeah, but a lot of friends of mine had very nice deep runs. Like
how was
one
you?
of them made it to day 5 or day 6. So
Oh
this
wow.
was, yeah, and I had, how much percent? I think I had 10% on him. So yeah, then you're also like really celebrating it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
I
I
love
kind
that
of
shit.
get it. If you are a group of people, it's better experience, right?
Yes, for sure. And let's maybe share some percentage of your
Yeah.
actions.
And
So
the
then, of
railing
course,
also.
yeah, exactly. And railing makes it a little bit more fun, I would say.
Yeah.
Mine, of course, you are happy with your friend that he's going the deep run, but it feels a little bit better when you also have some percentage on him, to be honest.
Like how many people were you?
Uh, so we shared a house there. We were the 7.
Seven
But
people.
yes,
And how do you
uh,
exchange percentage? 7. How does it work? Or it's not
um,
everyone?
yeah, not everyone. I shared it with 4 other guys, and then 10% I shared with each person. It's called swapping.
Yeah. So you
So
had
you get,
so 40% of your profits go is for people, right?
yes,
And then you had also 10% on each.
exactly, exactly. That makes the variance then way lower. So, but still, it's still a huge variance, but it's definitely lowered down.
I mean, and if obviously if they are near your level, then you know that the chances are someone may
Yeah,
do good.
exactly. I think it's a very nice approach when the EVs, like the skill level of each player, is approximately equally.
Yeah,
Then it's fair.
yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely do it again with these guys. I would even call, like, I didn't know them before the trip. And uh, I would say with some of them, I really grow up like a friendship because you experience a lot of situations together, going through it. If it feels good or bad, like deep runs, like one guy shipped one tourney for 200K,
Oh,
another one make the
nice.
fifth in the Cyprus for what was fifth, 300K or something like that. I'm not sure.
Inside here,
The main
Cyprus.
event.
Uh, depends on which main event. Like
before Vegas, it was Party Poker Live main event.
Oh, here in
I think,
Cyprus?
yeah.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
I remember that. I don't know how much was the price.
me either. It was like a pretty solid 6-digit number, so it's and like he was sucked out very, very badly then. I remember that also. But you go then together through that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
So
deal with it
that
easier as well, have
yes,
support.
yes, I think so. And that makes it really, I think that is a big part of making a deeper relationship. To have the same emotions in critical situations, positively and
The
negatively.
negative, yeah, the support and the rail,
Yeah.
at its best.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, it was fucking awesome. So yeah, I think I'm in Vegas back. Now you bring my emotions back, or I remember the emotions I had there, and I think
Yeah, I mean,
have to.
this conversation also wants me to push into going, although
Mhm.
it's a very bad decision, bankroll wise, to
Mm,
go and play, for me at least at this point, to go and play in Vegas. But I mean, there are ways. We'll see. See.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it exists a ton of stackings because they know VSOP. Some guys are saying you have there over 200% ROI if you are a solid MTT player. So there are a ton of guys who just want to invest in poker players there. Even if they have a ROI of 110%, whatever, it's plus EV for investors. So it's relatively easy related to other live events to get their stacking,
Get
from my
staking.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you how would you suggest someone to get staking for this type of event? Like on is are there like
Mm,
is there a way to do it? Okay,
mhm.
obviously every player has their inner circle and outer. Uh, but what if someone is watching right now and they don't?
Yeah,
They are a good
I
player.
see.
They want to. How would they find?
Yeah. So there exist a lot of groups in Skype and Telegram, and it's mostly based on trustment. So I would, if they are not direct access to these kind of groups, I would ask my friends if they have access to them and try to get them into these groups. And if this is not working, well, then I would try it on official pages like Poker Strategy. I'm not sure if they still have it, but they have a thread of stackings in the past for sure. And there also exist other sites where you can get stackings. So trying
So
to
they can they
get the
can they can find it online as well,
yeah, I think so.
like
Yeah,
a
yeah, very
community.
sure. Yes, it always helps, of course, when you have like some reputation. If it's just that you played a lot of tourneys in Shark Scope, you have their ROI or whatever, it's definitely helpful because they're trusting you some money. And if this is not the case, I would try to increase my reputation as good as I can. Also, on poker clients, they are offering more and more often now stackings. So in my case, at least it was possible. Well, I registered in the main event via GG Poker, via the client. And then it could I didn't do it, but I think it is possible to stake then for the main event via the GG Poker
You
client.
can sell action
So
through the application there, right?
yes,
Yeah, you're right.
yes,
Right.
that makes it way easier then to do stackings on the VSOP.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Right.
Hmm.
So here's another way, guys. Evgenigos has dropped the bomb. Reg cash game players versus Reg MTT players.
You mean which are the better players?
I think that's what he means.
Cash game, of course. No. I think cash game players has to develop a skill set for post-flop games, which is very crucial and harder to understand, but gives you a lot of poker understanding more than on MTTs, because MTT poker is on post-flop just simpler, because very short stacked, so the actions you can doing are in a way smaller box. So the opportunities of doing big mistakes is way lower. And also the argumentation, like you make a decision and you will find 10 arguments to do it and 10 counter arguments to not do it. But everyone has a different weight. So at the end of the day, some pro or contras will win, and then it rises to a specific decision. In MTTs, it's the same principle because it's poker. But because the stack sizes are so small that the potential EV loss of doing mistakes by interpreting the pro and contras wrong are way smaller. So therefore, it's way harder to do a big mistake on MTT, and you will get fucked twice on cash game for that. So post-flop, way better cash game players from my experience. And MTT players have a way better sense to play multi-tables and especially pre-flop ranges. So they also have an advantage.
Little mistake isn't little if you bust out of a 10K. It's like says. I think what Chris refers to small mistake is EV wise, right? Like
yeah, sure.
EV per 100. But yes, you have a point. I think like I would definitely not get deep into that as a person into this conversation, at least in public, because there's a lot. I mean, it's a very interesting subject. Don't get me wrong, but I can talk about myself and say that I was, like I said, I was an MTT player, and I intentionally wanted get coached and learn cash game so that I become better post flop in MTTs and then go back playing MTTs. I never went back though, still. But when I play now MTTs, I just see all the,
I see
all these mistakes.
Yes, yes.
Like,
please also don't get me wrong. It was like more a joke of being very polarized in my answer of cash game players are the better ones. But yes, I totally agree with that. And also what Sticky's luck says. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was also completely lost too, like what I'm doing with 30 pp. Do I have a 3-bet range? I even didn't know that. Exactly. Or do I just shove and what do I reshove, etc. Completely lost. Exactly. So they have, I think MTT players had a lot of skills which cash game players doesn't have because they don't need them. And in the post-flop world, that as a cash game player, you get the opportunity to get in very difficult spots which are very unlikely to happen in an MTT spot. So both setters has their own advantages in just different areas.
I mean, we are talking about population versus population, but if you take the top of the both worlds,
yeah,
I can safely say that, MTT players don't have an easy war. We just
yes,
play 6 max. It's easier, that than full ring, and then we have the ranges, and then we have 100 big blinds. But let's think about the early game, tips, and then you need to know early game 100 effective, 80, 60, 50, 30, 20, and 20 below effective as an MTT player. Then you have the mid game, have the bubble, then you have the right after the bubble, and then you still need to know 40 big blind effective, 30, 25, and then below 20 you need to know 18, 16, 15, 14, even up until 10. Some people simplify, and they just jump 14 bigs or 12 bigs, but you can top regs even raise fold for this blind.
Totally. And the exploits, like when someone 3-betting in the BB versus MP, 30 BB deep, then you learn the theory for 40, 30, 20, etc., or 25, but then making assumptions how the pool is playing so high to adapt for that stack size. And does it also work for 60 big blinds, the same adaptation? So for
Exactly.
sure. And we didn't talk about ICM. So ICM makes
Yes,
it so more
that
complex.
was the next one, like the late game and then ICM.
Yes. And
Oh.
it's even way buggy, like not buggy, but it's far away from solving poker ICM. It's a very rough model to do the calculations, to consider the price pool related to your stack size. But it's like sometimes it's not working. It's very bad, but it's still way better than to not implementing the ICM model. So please, yeah, don't get me wrong. MTT is not a simple. It's not simple at all.
I would say it's much more difficult to master.
Yeah.
Than cash games. I think cash games.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying it's easy to master,
Uh-huh.
but it's just less variable, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And especially if we're talking about 100 big blind, because then if we start talking about 150, 200, 200, 300 big blind play, then cash games, then it gets complicated as again.
Yep. Yeah, you remember me a bit of my study time where some guys are doing research in one very specific area, and then they're extremely good. But you also need guys who are experts in a lot of areas, but not so deep as the other person, so that you get an overall better picture of understanding how everything is correlating with each other, etc. Which feels a little bit for MTT, that you have to be good in a lot of different areas because you have to consider way more variables than as a cash game player. But in cash game, like post-op, it can get extremely difficult, something which is hard to get so complicated for an entity in a one specific area, but you have way more there to consider to be a good or great MTT player.
Exactly. I remember someone told me when I was playing MTTs back when I was trying to find out ways to improve. They just told me, you know what, prove everything. Just focus on your 30 big blind.
Hmm.
I was like, right, because most of the times for the longest period of the tournament, I stack. And then GG appeared, so I had to start learning 12 big blinds because of the structure of the tournament. But back then, when I was playing, other networks, I was the best. Best 30 and below, actually. 30 and below.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just become, like you said, you become more of an expert in that area.
I totally agree. Especially in the mid and late phase when you have this stack size and making a mistake costs way more than in the first level 100 big blind deep or whatever.
True.
So yeah, I think so too.
Just a reminder, guys, we have a giveaway running. It's monthly 1 month subscription. We will be giving three. Chris actually will be giving 1 month subscriptions to Pocket Scientist. All you have to do is type exclamation mark PS Pocket Scientist, and you will be in the shuffle. Subscribers get three additional entries. So now
You're playing guitar?
sorry.
I say now you're playing guitar. Let's go.
Uh, I wanted to now you're playing online, right? What stakes are you playing?
Yeah,
Chris?
I'm mostly playing on GG, cash game, 1K games, and
Say NL 1K.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, MTTs, just everything.
Oh, you play
Like,
MTTs as well?
yeah, I do. Started just 1 year ago, but I really enjoy it. I still enjoy cash game, of course, but I really like to play entities either. So yeah, I mean everything up from $50 to I don't play the super high rollers. So I think 50 to 5Ks, everything in this, but most of them are 20. I think my what is it called? ABI?
ABI,
ABI?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Average
like
buy-in.
250 or 200, something like that. I don't know. I just play them, which I think makes sense, and that's it. Yeah.
How's it working out for you, the tournament?
Good. Good. Yeah, I enjoy it, enjoy the progress. I learn completely different aspects of the game, especially about ICM. I really, really like to study ICM. And I think there's a ton of thing I can still learn there. Of course, also other things like with the different stack sizes and the reshoving range and making the right assumptions to the pool. I just like that stuff. But currently focusing on getting a better ICM player, and I wanted to make a paper to my PhD, which is finding a better model than ICM, so that, for example, ICM is not considering future states. And this is very crucial because it would change your strategy dramatically. So I think there's a lot of value of having a model which is way better than ICM. Of course, then implementing it in PS, but we are far away from that. I'm still building the mathematical model about it. And
So we
huh?
so we
What?
are witnessing, an inside information. Now you're researching something, that will eventually replace ICM.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a long road to go because, like, give you a rough idea. If you want to make an ICM model for the final table, which I think there is very important, then and considering future states, then how many states does exist on a 9-player table? So you have to define the amount of players and the amount of possible stack sizes. So let's say, well, I don't allow 40 different stack sizes. Maybe I make a simplification of about 15. So you allow 15 different stack sizes for these 9 players. Then it's binomial distribution. So it's 15 and then, what's it called in English? The,
Yes,
I just don't, not the
not
square.
the square,
It's,
the exclamation mark, which means
yes,
in Greek it's paragondiko, which you multiply for 15 by 14 by 13 by 12, right?
exactly. And what is, yeah, and it's like in this case, it would be 15 high, 15 high the amount of players. So 15 high 9. So 15 times 15 times 15 times 15, and you do it 9 times. So that's then, I think, about 300, or I don't know, 35 billion different states. Something like that it should be. So what I wanted to say with that is that it's extremely complicated and it has to be simplified a lot, but then we are back in the question that we have to simplify it effectively so that we don't remove any information which is very important. Yeah, and that's then a little bit the problem with finding a great model better than ICM.
Yeah, like a flexible as well that will let you parameter, import more parameters, right?
Yeah.
Because it's limiting to
It's,
one action, two actions. Sometimes I don't know. When I
mhm.
was doesn't show you multi-way times.
Yeah. Um,
I guess it's very complicated. Because not even solvers show you multi-way, right?
yes. Right. And I'm only mostly focusing on ICM preflop. But even then, it's like billion over billion possible states which you have to consider possible future states. Maybe a rough example helps that if you're in a situation where your opponent is all in and you can call or fold. Now you calculate it via ICM and then you get the result. Well, it doesn't matter. Like call and fold has the same EV. Now the thing is, when you call and you are then the ship lead, then this leads you into future states where you can realize your EV way better. And if you fold, then you're still low stake, mid stake, something like that. So you don't have this extra benefit. So as a poker player, you know,
Sort of like the expected money, right?
yeah, exactly. So that brings you then the first action has then not anymore an EV of 0. It has in the present moment, but you are not interested in only this decision. You want to know your whole EV for this tournament. So if you consider, okay, when I call, then I will be in a state where my EV is dramatically higher for all future states, then you have always to call, and the EV of calling is getting dramatically higher. So this is not considered by ICM and would change a lot. But just having then, we just need a lot of future states to can make this assumption. And of course, a model, a math model which describes it, connecting every states together, and then also an algorithmus to do the simplification and an algorithmus to do the whole calculation then. But theoretically, it's possible.
Why did Chris decide to develop his program? He already answered it, Kyriakos. He wanted to put it in shortly. He wanted to create something that he would want to use for his, for his studying. So he created it in a way that would also, help him with his studying and everything. And we have Evgeny was saying, what do you think about flags? Do you have any tales to share? Funny question. Of course, Steve, please explain what I mean, please. I guess he means, every country has their own style of play.
Yeah.
And you notice that a lot, especially on GG that has the flags there. You know that a certain country may be more aggressive. Certain do you have? I guess the question is, what do you think about different flags? Different.
Yeah. I think it's an information which we consider in our game plan. So if I'm playing against a Brazilian guy, the chance that he is raising loser is, from my perspective, higher than if I wouldn't know the flag. So same with Russia guys. I think the average Russian guy is just stronger than the from another country, like maybe Indonesia. So yeah, I take this information into my strategy, but like as one factor, and then it really depends on the situation, how much influence it really has. But if I know in a situation that my EV between call and fold against the race is 0, but I know now this is Brazilian guy, I definitely call more often, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're more aggressive.
Yeah.
I This is a very interesting topic for me. A very interesting subject is like, I guess, why is it that, I mean,
Mm.
it's right now we live in a global, I mean, world, like, right? The
Mm.
online information is available for everyone in all, obviously, all languages. But how come some players are? Is there like a
Yeah.
local school of poker for country by country? Does it have to do with with the uh, with the how to say it, with the is it a culture thing, like a society culture thing, country to country, or is it or is it or is it mostly in closed societies that they don't speak another language, so they only access their languages
Mhm.
material and then develop their game according to that? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. Uh, I think I would give you the answer that it is a culture thing from my perspective. I could imagine that currently the most, because like if it comes to studying, I observed some different country environments, and it's pretty similar, the general studying. But the tendencies, what kind of leaks you have in general, like you call in general too much or you are in general too tight. From the private coachings I had, they are somehow connected to their personality. So if, for example, I have a very ego-orientated person, and he's in general like a bit maybe sometimes too offensive and kind of not aggressive, but like pushing things forward, etc., then the chance that this guy is raising and calling too much is just higher than a guy who have maybe not a lot of self-confidence, is pretty shy, not saying a lot. This is more the guy that he's just folding too much or not raising a lot, calling a lot. So of course I don't want to give now a clear stereotype. It's
Yeah. I
just
know.
some, okay.
It's
Um, so I think the culture of countries then teaching some behaviors, and these behaviors are then connected to some tendencies in their game plan. And therefore, I would say, yeah, it's somehow a culture thing.
it's a culture thing, but we can also deviate, right, from like from our culture if
Mhm.
we get involved in the game much, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
not something that have to carry with us, even if we,
No.
even let's say if I'm Cypriot, let's say we are loose aggressive, and I start as a loose aggressive Cypriot player.
Mhm.
When I study and start to get involved, something that I can disconnect myself from, right, from the
Mhm.
population.
Right. I totally agree.
Uh, Pano says German players were was on the top last years. What do you think about other countries?
Um, I think Russia is a very strong country when it comes to poker player. Like you're living in a country and then you have some opportunities to do in your life. And I think Russia has a relatively, of course, you can do there very great things, but in average, the BPI is relatively low in this country. So making a living out of poker becomes more attractive than, for example, in a country like Germany. So if I see there, but of course, on average, there are strong German players. Um, so I think Russia have very strong players. I think Austria too, because strong poker players moving to a country where the taxes are in a good way for them. So Austria is a country which makes sense. And the same with UK. Um, so I think it is more connected on what fits, which country fits the best for a poker player, what kind of opportunities the country gives a person, which has an influence on the average skill set. Like imagine you have 100 opportunities and one of them is poker and 90 of them are pretty shitty. So then it's way more likely that you become a professional poker player. Then when the other 90 are very great, like, hey, study, you will get supported, like get free money, etc. So it's just probability distribution, and this I think leads then to the current result.
It's a very big subject, to take it down to its core. But
Yeah.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Interesting. They were even thinking of making like a World Cup of
A
poker,
what?
like a World Cup. Like players
Ah.
represent their countries, but wouldn't work. I think it's like
Mhm.
like it's so complicated poker that it
Mhm.
should have been like a year thingy with leaderboards and like that.
It's really hard. And how you measure it? Do you measure it in EV? But then how you get spectators? I think most of them are
Yeah,
interested also in
they
this
just want to see
gambling.
wins and points and
Yeah. Yeah, right. So maybe like in chess, yeah, that it's hard to be there and a spectator in chess.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, maybe possible. And like imagine then when you make it in EV, someone is solving it is with 4 sizings, the other one is solving it with 8 sizings, and then you get different EVs to this decision. So
And which is the and who which is the solver or machine that will tell us
yes,
and what are the variables behind? I mean, you can't, right? You just can't.
yeah, that's really hard for sure.
I believe it's also how easy you can find the like-minded people in your country. I mean,
Mhm.
yes and no, right? Because they don't have to be your country. Yeah, like like when I started playing, when I started on this journey, I found people, like we are a group of 4 people that we still have this group. Uh, one is Germany, the other one is Holland, the other one is in Wales, and I'm in Cyprus, and we just stick together. It doesn't have. I mean, with the
Mm.
globalization, you, like-minded people are just like-minded people, no matter where they're from, right?
Yep. I never had like a friend or something who was playing poker in my environment. Was always in another city, country, whatever.
That's not easy to. What we do is sometimes even frowned upon. Like people are like, no, that's the
They
new
have
way
an
of saying
image.
gambler.
Yeah, yeah, they have an image, and then they put you into their already created image.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah. I think even because we are so globalized, it's easy to get isolated because you don't need like an environment directly surround you, which are also player. So like if you have maybe not a family, you're a single, I think it's very, very easy to get isolated as a poker professional.
true. And it's very demanding. Very demanding.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
play all the, especially now with the tournaments. Better than before. You have to play all these hours, long
Hmm.
sessions, study sessions. How do you balance? Something I wanted to ask you earlier, but how do you balance poker, work? Like, obviously, poker is work as well, but the app, personal life.
Yeah. I don't know if I balance it. I try. I would say I didn't had any skill to listen to myself, like to listen to my body, and then I was indirectly forced to listen to it. So that helps me afterwards to understand myself a bit better, like when I'm really exhausted and when not. So I try to just listen to him, and if he says me something, then I would go for it. Whatever it is. I mean, of course, I don't break up a session when I'm in the middle of an MTT session. But when I feel exhausted after one, I will definitely not play then the next day. So that
That's
feels for
that's
me the
really good.
more. Okay, yeah, that's feels for me the most natural one than having like a law or a system which I'm focusing on. I just do as much as I can, which gives then a lot of potential to procrastinate. So I have to be more careful in this than if I would have like a system of like on Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, so I have to be careful of that. When I can hold that, then it helps me a lot to just listen to it and otherwise stay focused and do my stuff. Yeah. And I play some video games. That helps. That also is
What kind of video games do you play?
Elden Rings.
Oh, you
Do you
play
know?
Elden Ring?
Yeah. Do you know it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it, but I've seen other streamers.
Ah.
It's like um I wouldn't say it's like The Witcher, but it's like
Mhm.
Elder Scrolls, say.
Yeah, I can understand that you're saying it like Witcher, like in terms of the open world,
Open world and with
but
is it story rich as well?
highly. It
Oh my
has a
god,
huge story.
I like
And
story
it's,
rich.
oh wow, then you will love it. You will fucking love it.
I have Red Dead Redemption, but I haven't even installed it. Red Dead Redemption. I bought it, but I didn't install it yet, and I want to play it,
Mhm.
but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I recently played God of War because it's on PC now. God
Mhm.
of War
Ah.
2, which is also story rich. Days Gone with zombies. That one is also
Mhm.
pretty
So
nice.
yeah, you're also a part of you as a gamer.
I was always a gamer. I used to play CS too.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
used to play Counter Strike from
Nice.
1.1.
Wow. Then you start even earlier than me. I start with 1.5.
You start, but I'm like 10 years older as well.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
born in 1979. Uh, like you said, at one point you said something about the CS 10 years ago. And I'm like, wow, CS 10 years ago was already 30 years old. No?
It's true. It's so true. Yeah. And they still play Counter Strike now. I mean, Global Offensive, of course.
I mean,
But like the.
I even have this one in my sounds. I don't know if you can hear it. I probably have to.
Wait, I heard it in the stream.
Did you hear it in the stream?
Fire in the hole.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. There comes the nostalgia kicks in.
Yeah.
Instant. Yeah.
Uh,
That was fucking awesome this time. Yeah, fucking awesome.
we used to have a
Learned
clan
there
and
so
everything.
much. Sure. Yeah, yeah. It's.
Dust 2 was my favorite map.
Mm.
We used to even play Aztec back in the time, Inferno, obviously.
Aztec best, but without the AVP camper. But yeah, yeah, it wasn't a wonderful game. Wonderful game.
I don't know. This is German. Somebody wrote something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, he's saying, bro, saw you for a very long time. Didn't saw you for a very long time. What's going on? Are you done with studying? And the dust is the best map.
The Dust. so he's old school as well. Dust 1. The Dust 1,
Dust
right?
one.
With the
Yeah,
tunnel. With the
yeah.
tunnel and if you spawned a little bit further, you as a city, you could even go and camp in the corner there, in
Hmm.
the pubs. Yeah,
So awesome.
fun time.
But yeah, bro, all good. Thanks, man. Yeah, done for I think over 1 year now. With the studying and yeah, now doing PhD. But yeah, I'm done. Hopefully you're fine too. But for sure, I was streaming in the past too, so from these times he remembers me. But it's yeah, very long time ago. Like,
Are you thinking of firing up a stream again?
well, I'm really really bad in planning. Like it's very against my natural behavior. And if I'm not doing it consistency, then it has some disadvantages. And the thing is, I even like streaming. I really enjoy that. For example, now with Diggy, that we talked sometimes together in the chat, hey, what's up, etc. Like I really enjoy that, but I just can't do it consistently. So
Busy, you're a busy man, but it doesn't have to be consistent. I mean, uh, if you enjoy something, you just fire it up.
true. That's
Whether it
true.
be a session, whether it be a game, maybe Elder Rings,
Yes.
I get to watch you play.
Better not. But yeah, yeah. I think that's really true. Um, I think I should change my perspective a bit on it. Like I should maybe just enjoy it and not giving myself boundaries or goals. Like I have to do this or that or blah blah blah. If I just keeping it as a hobby, then yeah, I could definitely imagine to stream sometimes. Yeah.
Always as a hobby. I mean,
Hmm.
you know what would be interesting? I would be also very interested to if what you use for your science every now and then.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be a scheduled thing. Once a week, once a 15
Yeah.
month, just a 1 or 2 hour stream. You know that would help me also realize potential because you know it more than anyone inside out
Hmm.
that software. I would like to see, and maybe I should do this as well. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should just do a stream one day together and have
Sure.
and just use it. People can
Yeah.
see.
I think I did it a couple of times in the past with Jactus and some other guys. Yeah, it was always fun to like study together with also like the existing app for streaming where users can make a vote. And it was very easy to use them, and then like you can study together with the community. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, we should do that.
Sure.
Should do that.
Yeah. You said we or I?
Uh, Either you or we you have an open invitation whenever you want to do it here. Uh, you can do
Okay.
it. I'll
Yeah.
watch. No problem for me. I mean, it's either way.
Cool.
It's value for me personally as well. I
Hmm.
would be interested to be part of it, either as a host or as a viewer. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm really open-minded to like join your stream and doing it together. Would be cool. And yeah, maybe if yeah, I could imagine to also stream in the future, but I definitely don't want to set there any
Yeah, yeah,
expectations because I
yeah.
failed there too often.
I,
So
I feel you. I feel you. I mean,
nice.
whenever you feel like it, you just turn on the camera and
Okay.
we'll be there,
Okay. Cool.
right?
Cool.
So, should we uh should we just give them the,
Yep.
the people in the chat a couple of minutes more until we close the entries and then pick out winners?
Yeah, let's do. If you like, let's do the
Diggy is
giveaway.
asking, are we discussing some hands? Not today, Diggy. We just had like a very casual conversation with Chris. Talked about life, about poker, talked about poker scientist, obviously, talked about a little bit about gaming as well. No?
Hmm.
And yeah, but that's what we were just discussing. Maybe one day we can, can
Yeah.
do another stream more focused on studying.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm there very nerdy. I just love to discuss about hands and different perspectives. Blah, 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 blah. Uh, could
That
do
would
it
be
all
great.
day long.
That would be really great. And I would love to see your approach, how you discuss. How
And
you
yours either.
how you study?
Yeah, cool.
You must use the game plan, right? Well,
Um, yeah. Do you mean for my personally?
yeah, for from like when you want to check out the hunt.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's without doing any advertisement, but it's the only thing I'm studying with is PS. Yes. And
Yes.
like there exist some pages where you get a rough image of your opponent, so I can make conclusions combined the player type and then the theoretical approach, and then I can create strategies against my pool or individuals, etc. So, and it's so individual that makes a lot of still a lot of fun. There's
Hey,
so much to discover.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And as long as the game is not 100% solved, then there is a
yeah, will
future.
never be. I'm very sure it will never be. It's too complex.
Diggy is asking, what limits are you playing nowadays, Chris?
Yeah. Well, mostly GG1K. There you can find me in the pool, and I did a transaction to MTT, so I play twice a week MTTs from 50 to 5K buy-ins, pretty much everything. Yeah, I think I mentioned my ABI is like about 200, something like that. So
Yes.
joined a little bit the other world too.
Uh, Live Your Dreams 22. What's your nick on GG?
Semi 89. Yeah.
MTT, not like this.
Why? I know, but it's there's some also some beauty in it.
Are you gonna play today?
No. After the podcast, I will move to what is it called, like a spa?
Oh,
Yeah, and then just relaxing there,
sounds
drinking a
good to me.
cocktail.
Great.
What about you?
Gonna spend some time with family.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Probably gonna eat dinner. A movie. Spend some time. And tomorrow, I go for to the gym. I go every day, but tomorrow I'm go with for for the sauna.
Ah, I see. Okay, cool. Nice. Sounds great.
Iggy is
Ah,
asking kind of a personal question. Are you still living
uh-huh.
with your girlfriend?
Yeah, I do.
Girlfriend is a big plus EV on NL1K. Live your dreams.
I I try to understand the connection. I'm not sure. What is? Do you understand
It depends
the
on
point?
Pano says girlfriend is minus EV anywhere. There's a joke I read about what do you call a professional poker player without a girlfriend? Homeless.
It's funny because it's like there's some truth in it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
we are not talking about the professional, the high
Yeah.
winning professional.
Yeah.
It's the
But
wannabe.
yes, yes, that's true. But yeah, still living with her.
At this point, I am going to close the entries for the giveaway. So closing them right now, and we are going to pick 3 winners. It's going to automatically appear. Chat. Those 3 winners should send me a message with your email, right? Is that right, Chris?
Well, they can just register their account. They just need the bonus code. So we can give them the code.
So they PM me, and then I give them the codes that you will give me.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
and then just make it that this code is then 3 times available. So per user, 1 time available. So
yeah.
Then 3 guys.
It has to be per user.
Yes.
Let's discuss the future plans, guys. Next year of your poker plan. Let me just pick a winner here first. The first winner that wins a month of Poker Scientist subscription is Vegan Pasta. So Vegan Pasta has won a month of subscription in Poker Scientist. Vegan, congratulations. Make sure you send me a PM either on Twitch or Discord. Let's pick the second winner. Thessalos. Χαρητήρια, φίλε. Send me a PM, Thessalos. And the third, what Patran? You're not even in the shuffle, Pano. You didn't even get in the shuffle. And the third winner is Giorgio. Perfect. Congratulations, you guys.
Congrats, guys. Nice.
I will also, in case one or more of these people left or are AFK, I'm going to announce these the winners. Let me just take a screenshot. I'm going to announce them in on my Discord.
If we are doing a study stream in the future, I mean, we can, if you like, for your community, do giveaways again. So it's like not the last time that this was possible.
That would be very great. That would be great, and that's very generous of you. Please, thank you so much on behalf
all
of
good.
everyone.
I really like to share it with your community.
This is really good.
Sure.
Then I will make sure to definitely invite you to do a study session. I will invite Evgenikos as well. He's available to a group thing.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Please, thank you so very much. It was very good for me.
Thanks,
I had a really good time. It was actually
me too.
It was actually good to getting to know you, even though we did speak, in the past a couple of times, but it was more like we kept it to the point. We never got the chance to meet each other and talk. Today. I'm very glad we did.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It was nice to talk also for me. So, thanks for having me here.
It was a real pleasure. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Now we need to find someone to raid. Who should we raid? Have anyone in mind right now?
Let's look if someone is online who I could have. Yeah, I do. There's a guy who is an ambassador of Poker Scientist, and I think maybe you know him. It's Andre Kos.
Can you send me his
sure
his link?
I think he would really, really appreciate it. And he's playing cash game NL 200. Very nice guy.
Can you send it to me? Discord?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, perfect. he online right now?
Yes, he's a relatively small streamer, but yeah, he's just a nice guy. He has
Even
a
better then. Let me check. How I not know him?
strong poker player, I think, and like crazy
Oh
challenges
yeah,
sometimes.
I do know him. He's part of 888 stream team.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Right. Let's head to Andreikos then.
Think you really will appreciate it.
So best of luck to you. I'm really looking forward to see things we talked about in Poker Scientist. And thank you really once again for being part of the stream.
Yo, it was a pleasure.
And my very first podcast. I really hope we did well. I really hope I did well. Oh,
I think so. I mean, I felt the whole time very comfortable. I think that's a nice indicator that it was a good podcast, and you did it very well from my perspective.
perfect. Perfect.
So thanks for having me here, and also thanks, chat, and have a nice one. Good luck to you guys, and of course, yeah, see you, Steve, then in our Discord chats.
Yeah. All right. Good
All
night,
right.
guys. I will see you probably on Monday. Let's head over to Andre and yeah, we'll upload this whole thing on YouTube. Take care and good night, everyone.